Thank you very much for 5 really compelling presentations. Oh, Gus is doing something to my behind. I have a comment, and it's not to do with the 5 presentations we've had. It's an overarching comment for all of us for the rest of the summit. At my opening presentation yesterday, I talked about Goody Pup, good involvement of people who use PrEP. So far, in the last day and a half, I have heard a really small handful of PrEP users talking about our experience, a really small handful. And I know of at least a dozen PrEP users in this room, and those are the ones I know, so there are going to be probably at least 24 of us here. Some of the solutions to the questions we're trying to answer across the summit might actually be in the room if we can find some space and some time and some courage for those voices to step forward and be heard. So I'm making a plea for the next 2 hours that we start to prioritize the voices of those of us who are using PrEP, because we might walk away with some really clear answers. Thank you.
I agree. Yeah, this is a much more focused thing. We already have a kind of alternative to PrEP, which is, I'm being told not to call it intermittent PrEP, because that's month on, month off. I've been told I've been told not to call it on-demand PrEP, because, but certainly in PrEP on the IPA regimen. And I do feel that we're not letting people know that this is an alternative. I know if you actually put out a PrEP service, the majority of people who will come, other than I think in France where there's been the knowledge of IPA, tend to prefer, if they're given the choice, daily PrEP. But maybe that's because people think that it is daily. And the reason I was stimulated to ask this question was a remark by, I think it was Julian, who was talking about sex workers he knows in Amsterdam, who most of the time are using condoms, but every now and again will take a couple of days PrEP because a particularly well-paying client, wants to have sex without a condom, and so they take intermittent PrEP in advance, and sort of other people worrying that this is a bad development. But instead it's an illustration of awareness of intermittent PrEP seeping through into the community. And I do worry that we haven't bigged up intermittent PrEP enough, partially I think because of the influence of America, where it's seen as a bad thing because it never really took off there. So I wondered about your comments on that.
Now I'm giving up my control.
I'll keep it brief. In the Amsterdam project, we do offer event-driven and daily PrEP at a choice of the participants, because we strongly believe that for some people, different people need different regimens in different times of their life. And we do see an uptake of about a quarter who prefer to take event-driven PrEP. And I strongly believe that we should give people an option, and that will increase uptake and adherence and satisfaction.
I don't have any data, but I have anecdotal virtual clinic stuff to share. So how because it's PrEP in the wild in the UK, we're finding that people, it's particularly easier with MSM because they have more options and we have more data. But people tend to mix and match how they use their PrEP, and I would hope at one point that PrEP just sits in your bedside cabinet next to some lube and some condoms, and that's, you use it as you need it and what best suits you. But certainly we have people moving from 4 pills, the T's and S's, onto daily when they're busier, or down to intermittent, on demand. But on demand every weekend might become 4 pills. So it's people, particularly MSM in the UK, are mixing and matching. And I think we should advocate. Sheena McCormick actually sat us down when we first launched and made a very passionate case for advocating for both IPRG and daily equally, and we do.
In Ukraine, we don't give a choice. We have only PrEP on daily PrEP. But the majority of MSM community want daily PrEP. But also our problem that our healthcare system is not flexible, so we still don't know how to do it possible to do PrEP on demand. So and now it will be I don't know, maybe 3,500 doses for Ukraine. When it will be, we will change national protocol, and we will have PrEP on demand. But till this moment, sounds like impossible in Ukraine. Oh, okay. It's not. Hello. Oh, okay. Why it's not possible? Because AIDS hospital is not ready to have so much clients, and we don't have some preventional department of AIDS hospital. So doctors who give pills for to HIV positive clients now have more job, and they must serve guys who want to take PrEP. So it's like double work for AIDS hospital, and because of it. Okay.
Good. Hello, my name is Sacha Moore. I work for Groupe SIDA Genève in Switzerland, and we're a member of the Coalition Plus as well. I have a question, actually, well, two questions for Greg and Phil in particular. First, a comment. If the one reason we have PrEP in Switzerland is because, first of all, the users, and second, because thanks to you guys, we can actually even import it. The two questions I have are, when would it be possible to have numbers, individual purchasing numbers for Switzerland, for example, so we can evaluate how many people are actually taking PrEP? I think Dynamics is the major supplier to Switzerland at this point. That would be the first question. The second question ties in with the idea you had about hardship funds or paying forward ideas. We already provide that service in Geneva to people who do not have the resources to even fund or purchase PrEP at the prices you're offering at. And we'd be very, very happy to discuss the possibility of leveraging our own small fund to make it last longer. So thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Great question and suggestions. In regards, so I can speak on behalf of Phil, and he doesn't have a microphone, and I know he doesn't want one. So in regards to specific sales data, you would have to grab Phil over coffee. I can certainly provide you with I Want PrEP Now analytics and traffic there. But I do know we've had some development there where Switzerland have upped the personal use quota from 1 month to 3. So we have some progress there. But let's talk afterwards. But I think hearing that you are kind of passionate about the Pay It Forward hardship fund is great. What we're looking at is, like I said, doing the allocated hardship fund from a pot of cash somewhere, which we haven't identified yet. But let's talk and sort something out.
And may I allow myself to add? I was talking to the checkpoint in Zurich. In Zurich, to the checkpoint, they have quite a lot of PrEP users, and they are traveling. So they just get the prescription and go to like Constance or whatever and get it there. So this is hardly to measure, but it's quite a lot.
Sorry, I'm getting on my tiptoes. I can't reach the microphone. There we go. Great discussion. A clinical question to Dr. Brady. What do you think is just thinking about? I was trying to reflect on what you talked about in terms of integration, putting PrEP into primary care, but that follow-up visit at 1 month after one initiates PrEP, what do you think is the added value of that? It kind of is, in taking a public health approach to PrEP. Sort of currently we recommend, your baseline assessment and then a follow-up of an HIV test at 1 month, hopefully to maybe catch an acute infection that you actually didn't pick up at baseline, and also monitor adherence and so forth, and quarterly visits thereafter. So maybe some thoughts on that.
The 1 month follow-up.
Yeah.
So we recommend some flexibility around that. Not everybody has to have a 1 month follow-up. So I think, particularly, if people are transitioning from buying their own PrEP into the impact study, and they're already in a routine of 3 monthly follow-ups and they're used to taking it, we don't bring them back at a month. I think if people start PrEP and they haven't had a risk within the last 4 weeks, there's not a need to do the HIV test necessarily at the month, because your baseline would have excluded an existing infection. So we're tending to make contact with people at a month, not necessarily see them at a month. You know? So we're doing a lot of telephone consultations, and that's really about adherence and side effects and facilitating and looking, because again, this is a capacity issue. It's a challenge seeing everybody anyway, and then that extra month is a bit difficult, particularly as our efforts are being put into trying to recruit at the moment. So if they live somewhere where they can get self-testing or online testing for that month HIV test, then we're encouraging that as well. So we're not bringing everybody back at a month unless they need to.
Just one other thing is, in terms of the analytics from these websites where individuals go and buy drug, I think it's actually helpful even from global advocacy, because obviously we want, when we encourage countries to ensure that they are financing PrEP within their national systems, and then I think it's just like a vehicle to go to countries that have are turning, particularly I think in Europe, where they're not necessarily interested in PrEP, and to actually show them that, listen, you actually have utilization in your country, of like a significant volume potentially, and you're just ignoring the fact that you should be offering PrEP as a service. I'm just thinking of my own country actually, in Greece, and so I think that's kind of a call for us to maybe work off, after this, sort of between WHO and your website.
Well, we were meant to meet for coffee.
We will after. And just a final call. The WHO recommendation is on daily dosing. It's in our work plans to address the potentially a recommendation on event-driven, the event-driven approach for MSM. So just but it's a decision that's made by a guidelines group. But it's just a call to everybody who is involved in a demonstration project or has programmatic data experience on event-driven dosing to just follow up with me at some point today, please.
Thank you, Johannes. Heiko.
Yeah. First of all, thank you.
Would you like to add something to it?
No. I think that was. I just agree. I think for those who can have on-demand or event-based, they should be offered on-demand and event-based. Sure.
Okay. First of all, thank you all for your great work. I have a specific question. Michael, you mentioned hepatitis C on one of your slides, and maybe Elske and you, are you also seeing upcoming numbers of mono-infection of hepatitis C? We start to see that in studies and also in the PrEP users, and maybe PEP, we call from Barcelona, I don't know.
So this question, are we seeing new hepatitis C? Yeah, no, I think, should we talk about it? I mean, I think it remains, that's why I had it on my unanswered questions research thing. I mean, I think certainly in Impact we're going to be testing everybody for hepatitis C at 3 months. That feels perhaps too much and maybe not targeted enough, but I think we have to do that first to work out what the pickup is and what the incidence is and who is getting hepatitis C, and then perhaps tweak it a little bit. Certainly, that's more than is recommended in our sort of national STI testing guidelines, which is very focused around hepatitis C. It recommends particularly around injecting drug use and men who have sex with men who've got particular sexual practices like fisting or chemsex, or so it's not everybody. So Impact is going to be doing more hep C testing. So I think that for us will hopefully answer some of those questions from the UK setting.
Yeah, are you trying to find out who's getting it? I mean,
absolutely, and I think we're not the only country that is really trying to push up our case finding around hepatitis C and translate people into what are now really effective treatment programs. So I think there's a lot of interest circling around things like Impact and some of our HIV testing projects from hepatologists and those who are treating hepatitis C monoinfection, which is in the UK is a different set of clinicians, because they see quite a lot of interconnection and read across and the ability to case find with some of the work that we're doing around PrEP and HIV testing.
And Elske?
We tested in our program all people before they started PrEP for hep C, and we found a high prevalence of almost 5%, which is a real high among HIV-negative gay men. We're continuing the frequent testing. We do once in 6 months now, and we hope to report at CROI some of our incident hep C data. And we also show with a phylogenetic analysis where we compared the viruses found in HIV-negative gay men with those in HIV-positive gay men, and we found that they cluster together, suggesting that the networks are overlapping. And I think that's relevant information. On the other hand, we didn't find it in a larger group of HIV-negative gay men who visited our STI clinic, but who were not taking PrEP. Prevalence in that group was very low. So there does seem to be something with taking PrEP and being more at risk for Hep C, but that needs further research.
Yeah, exactly. And PrEP, you...
Yes, I'm Pep Coy from PrEP in Barcelona. We test for Hep C. It depends on the kind of study. No? There's a study from the Ministry of Health which we test on a quarterly basis, every 3 months. Another study from the Department of Health Catalonia, it's every 6 months. At the Discover study, it's once a year, which was, I was disagree. There was quite a lot of people disagreeing with this decision, but eventually they said, no, once a year. And in any case, I think that the important is to, I think that we should test them at least every 6 months, ideally every 3 months. And why? Because we should implement the strategy of treatment of any acute infection. It would be the treatment as prevention also for hepatitis C. And in fact, we are doing now this in Barcelona. We have a very good relationship with a hospital in Barcelona, the clinic hospital. So if we detect hepatitis C, we refer that person to the hospital, and in less than 1 week, he is visited there and he will start treatment with no delay. And I think that's the strategy we want to control and even to eradicate the Hep C.
And not only that, I also think that we should, when we talk about the PrEP for the people, we should already address maybe a change of a sexual identity and a change of a sexual culture while using the PrEP. Probably many people will suddenly realize, oh, cool, now I can do all these nice things. And it's better to be prepared before. You beautiful people, you're piling up, and I see already Gus approaching me. I would like to, Manuel, I would like to also follow this idea of maybe those voices who haven't been heard yet, to hear them, if you don't mind. And I see some beautiful faces behind you we haven't heard yet. Maybe we can, if there is some time left and I'm still alive and Gus didn't, please.
Thank you. So first of all, thank you for the presentations. Congratulations to the Ukrainian colleagues on starting PrEP. I have a more clinical question, but probably will be interesting to hear the reply from all of you, how you deal and address this issue in your projects and countries. So my question is regarding the hepatitis B infection. So as we know, both TDF and FTC are the active drugs against the hepatitis B. So my question basically is, how do you address this issue in case if the person is active, has the hepatitis B infection and stops taking PrEP, there is the risk of the reactivation of the infection and the cause of the hepatic damage. So how do you address this issue in your projects? Thank you.
I mean, it's a challenge for sure. I mean, our approach and our guidance, it just recognizes it as a problem or a potential problem, and advises caution and close monitoring if that situation arises. And I think that needs to be managed on a case-by-case basis. If the need for PrEP stops, and people who are co-infected with Hep B and not co-infected, who are Hep B positive but taking PrEP for HIV prevention, need to be aware of that danger and discuss anything before they stop their ongoing prevention.
We work together.
What is
I'm psychiatric, I will answer. If person have hepatitis B, yes, you found it during person take PrEP, yes? Your question.
Yeah, in case if you do not provide vaccination.
In our project.
Yeah, so in case if you do not provide the vaccination while enrolling people into PrEP, how you deal after the person is enrolled in PrEP and stop taking PrEP, it may cause the reactivation of the Hep B virus. So, yeah, that's the question.
We will address that. We will stop PrEP project. We will stop PrEP for person with hepatitis B, who are infected in hepatitis B, and readdress to other infectionist. But in Ukrainian project we have also vaccinate in front of hepatitis B vaccination also So, like this.
Okay, so I would answer that. First of all, we've got a national program of vaccination of hepatitis B, and normally the assay for hepatitis B is included in the annual investigation of everyone in Russia. So basically, a lot of people are vaccinated already. So in the case if someone cancelled or been vaccinated, I think that it have to be included in the whole program and definitely should be recommended. I believe that it will be possible to do in our settings.
Hi, I'm Andrew from Ireland. I'm a PrEP user, and I just wanted to say when listening to you describe some of the different models for delivery, I found myself kind of getting excited and then really depressed. Especially in particular with like the more onerous involved procedures and stuff like that. I want a really simple, easy to deal with thing. I love the idea of self-sampling at home. I've been using, obviously, perhaps a little unusual in the sense that I'm pretty highly motivated and well-informed, and I've been using it for a while. But I really like. Sorry, when you were mentioning that PrEP users need extra time and stuff, I was like, please, no, I don't want to have to sit and answer a bunch of questions. I know what I want. I just want, I want to do my tests. I want to get in and out, or just mail them in and pick it up from a community pharmacy. So that's just sort of a comment. But I suppose one thing that I haven't heard anyone mention, it came up a little bit in the breakout group, but one thing that hasn't really come up is the legal situation regarding the generics in Europe and the kind of very different situations that obtain from country to country. And just from Ireland, we recently got generics due to a court action that allowed the generics to begin marketing. I won't go into the details, but it transformed almost overnight the situation in Ireland, and the official planning process was had not anticipated this at all, had not taken this into account. Suddenly, PrEP was available in community pharmacies. GPs were prescribing it without the proper knowledge of how to support people taking PrEP. And knowing that there's this case before the European Court of Justice, I think the hearing's is it this month? It's right. So potentially that's going to change the situation across Europe. And I just haven't heard. I just feel like that's potentially a really significant thing in terms of PrEP access in Europe is when more countries suddenly have generics, and we don't know where are they going to be available in community pharmacies for the first time? Are pharmacists going to know how to deal with this? Are doctors? People are going to be potentially coming into their GPs and saying, "Can you prescribe this?" And
Andrew, maybe you formulate a question out of it, because we really need it.
Sorry, it's more of a comment than a question, so I'll leave it there. But I think that's a significant thing that's sort of lurking in the background that we haven't really addressed. So I don't know, can we have a new session, Gus? No. So thanks.
I just want to say, right, I think we're going to, I'll let Valentina say something because she was going to show a slide and she won't have time. I think we have to finish there, however, because I want to leave time for the media session. And also, if we don't stop now, all the people at the back who are eating the special delicious canapes, which we paid extra for the last coffee break, will snarf them all, and you guys won't get any. But Valentina has the last word because she's doing a special study.
Please, let's have patience for Valentina.
Oh, thank you very much. My name is Valentina. I'm based in London at the university. And following from Elske really call for monitoring, we are designing a study in people newly diagnosed with HIV who used PrEP in the past. We expect this study to be extremely small because we don't expect people to get infected if they're on PrEP, but we think it would be important to assess what is the prevalence in these few cases of resistance, in these few cases that become infected with HIV, despite either being on PrEP but with low adherence, or maybe that they stop PrEP. And so if you want to collaborate, please come forward to me, because we need, there are going to be few cases, so we'll need to involve as many clinics as we can. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. There is so much more to talk about, but thank you very much for you to make it here. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Brilliant, very good.